brother. They would have their wives and girlfriends, but no way in hell would they have chosen to take all those people. By autumn 1942, the Belsky Group included nearly 100 members. "It seemed like a fantasy from another world," wrote one inhabitant after the war. "A kind of gay abandon filled the air, biting, frank talk spiced with juicy curses, galloping horses, and the laughter of children. Suddenly I saw myself as an extra in a Wild West movie."
Russia has more than uniformed troops. For years, training in guerrilla warfare has been a must for every able-bodied citizen of the Soviet Union. And reports indicate that these semi-military forces have raised havoc behind the German line. High overhead, a detachment of Nazi parachutists spots a distant village. Watchers sound the alarm. Peasants trained in anti-parachute tactics, yet moving fast, watching the planes as they ride. Before the parachute troops have time to get organized, armed detachments from all over the countryside are off to intercept them.
Hideout they come, the bands of men and women who wage their terrible warfare behind the enemy lines. Out of seclusion come soldiers of the Soviet underground army to emerge into the open after months of sabotage and swift execution on German machines and men. Up in the mountains, in the woods, down in the valleys, in villages and towns, they have inflicted death and destruction on the hated enemy. In the hour of victory, the hero partisans shine today. There appears the brilliant vision of sweeping victory.
sabotage and burn for their country. They repeat the simple oath. I, a citizen of the Soviet Union and true son of the heroic Russian people, swear I will not lay down my arms until the last fascist in our territory is destroyed. A minimum of glory, a maximum of determination. Their achievements are seldom recorded. Look well at their faces. You will never see them again in the ranks of war prisoners, or read their names over heroes' graves. Meanwhile, the Russian Air Force, which Hitler told the Germans in the first days of fighting, had been driven from...
This rare footage documents Polish and Russian partisans, which included thousands of Jews who escaped the virtual death sentence of Nazi occupation. To fight the Nazis, partisans endured extreme conditions, harsh winters, and little food, and being without permanent shelter for years on end. Despite the conditions, partisans built underground bunkers. They made and salvaged weapons and clothing. Underground newspapers describing their victories were printed and distributed. As the war progressed, the Soviet Army, realizing the strategic value of the partisans, airdropped weapons and supplies to help them. Partisans destroyed communication lines, blew up railroads, destroyed bridges, ambushed. This newsreel footage is a testament to the heroic contributions of the Jewish partisans who fought in World War II.
The Soviet press never revealed the partisans' real names. This is Grandpa. Grandpa only went public when the war was over. He was one of the most famous commanders. His real name was Kovpak, and he had been mayor of the little town of Putivl in the Ukraine before the war. Smaller partisan groups came together to exchange information and coordinate plans. Steadily, their movement grew in size, power, and effectiveness. The forests were their preserve. The Germans dared not enter, except in great force. Life in the forest was basic. Clothing, shoes, food were almost non-existent. Hunger and cold were their constant companions. In better times, many of them had been city dwellers. In the wilderness, cut off from all the convenience they had known, they had to learn a wholly new life. A life without ease. Their makeshift hospital had no medical supplies or equipment. The only anesthetic was a glass of vodka. Often they amputated with a handsaw.